After 6 years of supporting my wife through military school, my wife graduated and filed for divorce. I can't be with a lowlife civilian like you anymore. I date generals now, she said. I said nothing and signed the papers. I packed my entire life and vanished without a trace. She laughed when I drove away, but I never came back. 10 years later, she found me. 169 missed calls. The rain hasn't started yet, but I can feel it coming. You know that feeling. When the air gets heavy and metallic, when the sky turns the color of old bruises, when every sound seems muffled like the world is holding its breath. That's what the apartment feels like tonight. Like we're all waiting for something to break. I'm standing at the stove, stirring pasta sauce that nobody's going to eat. The kitchen smells like garlic and basil and something else, something sour that I can't name. Behind me, Sarah sits at our small dining table, the one we bought at a yard sale 6 years ago, back when we had nothing but each other and thought that was enough. She's wearing her dress uniform. Class A's, they call them. Dark jacket with the brass buttons polished to mirrors, ribbons arranged in perfect rows across her chest, like little colored promises, shoulder boards gleaming with the gold bars of a second lieutenant. She graduated this morning. I was there, of course. Front row, digital camera in hand, watching her cross that stage at the academy with her back straight and her eyes forward and her hand snapping up in a salute so crisp it could cut glass. I took 47 photos. I counted them later, scrolling through them on my phone in the parking lot while she talked to her classmates, her instructors, people in uniforms who understood a language I never learned to speak. In none of those photos is she looking at me. Dinner's almost ready, I say, even though she hasn't asked. She doesn't respond. She's scrolling through her phone, her face lit blue in the dimming apartment, and I can see the reflection of text messages in her eyes. Conversations I'm not part of. Plans I haven't been invited to. I plate the pasta. 2 servings, even though I know. I've known for weeks, actually. Maybe months. You can feel it when someone starts leaving before they're gone. When they stop asking about your day, when they forget the little things they used to remember, when their laughter at your jokes becomes delayed, mechanical, like they're translating your humor from a foreign language they used to speak fluently. I set her plate down in front of her. She glances at it the way you'd glance at junk mail. I'm not really hungry, she says. You should eat something. Long day. I said I'm not hungry, Marcus. My name in her mouth sounds different now. It used to sound like coming home. Now it sounds like an obligation. A name she has to remember because paperwork requires it. I sit down across from her anyway, fork in hand, pretending this is normal. Pretending we're still people who eat dinner together. The pasta tastes like cardboard, but I eat it because not eating would mean acknowledging that something is wrong, and I'm not ready for that conversation. Not yet. Maybe not ever. The silence stretches. Outside, the first drops of rain begin to tap against the window, soft at first, tentative, like they're asking permission. Within minutes, it's a downpour. The kind of rain that sounds like static, that turns the city into a watercolor painting, that makes you feel like you're the only 2 people left in the world. I've never felt more alone. We need to talk, Sarah says finally, setting down her phone with the deliberate precision of someone who's been rehearsing this moment. And there it is. 4 words. 22 letters. The end of everything. I set down my fork. Okay. She looks at me then. Really looks at me, and I can see it in her eyes. That mixture of pity and relief that people get when they're about to hurt you, but they've already convinced themselves it's for the best. When they've already rewritten your history together so that you're the obstacle they overcame, not the partner who helped them climb. This isn't working anymore, she says. 6 more words. I count them like counting wounds. What isn't working? Us. This. She gestures vaguely around the apartment. At the kitchen, where I've cooked 1,000 meals. At the couch, where we used to fall asleep watching movies. At the bedroom, where we used to know each other in a language that didn't need words. I've changed, Marcus. The academy changed me. I'm not the same person I was when we got married. I know, I say quietly. I've watched you change. I've been here for all of it. That's part of the problem. The rain is louder now. Or maybe everything else is just quieter. Explain that to me. I say, even though I don't want to hear it. Even though I already know. She leans back in her chair, and for a moment, she looks so much older than 28. Or maybe I'm just seeing her clearly for the first time in months. The sharp angles of her face. The way she holds herself like she's always at attention. The distance in her eyes that I mistook for focus, for ambition, for the natural stress of military training. You're a good person, Marcus. You really are. You've been supportive, patient. You put your life on hold for me. I know that. But that's just it. You put your life on hold. You're still working at the same coffee shop you worked at when we met. Still driving the same beat-up Honda. Still living like we're broke college students playing house. We needed to save money. I say. For your school. I know. And I'm grateful. But I don't need that anymore. I have my commission now. I have my career. I have opportunities you can't even imagine, and I can't. I can't drag you along anymore. It's not fair to either of us. Drag me along. As if I were dead weight. As if the last 6 years of waking up at 4 a.m. to drive her to physical training, of working double shifts to pay the bills she couldn't cover on her stipend, of spending every weekend alone while she was at field exercises, of learning the difference between an O3 and an E5 so I could understand her world, of memorizing the phonetic alphabet in military time and the names of her instructors, of becoming fluent in the language of a life I wasn't allowed to live. As if all of that were an anchor instead of a foundation. So what are you saying? I ask, even though I know. She reaches into her uniform jacket and pulls out an envelope. It's already been opened. Inside, I can see papers. Official-looking papers. The kind that come from lawyers. I filed for divorce, she says. Last week. I'm sorry, Marcus. I should have told you sooner, but I wanted to wait until after graduation. I didn't want to ruin the ceremony. Ruin the ceremony. I stare at the envelope. I don't take it. Not yet. When did you decide? My voice sounds calm. Distant. Like it's coming from someone else's body. Does it matter? Yes. She sighs. A few months ago. Maybe longer. I don't know exactly. It wasn't one moment. It was a lot of little moments. Realizing we didn't have anything in common anymore. Realizing I was becoming someone you couldn't relate to. Meeting people who understood the life I was choosing. Meeting people, I repeat. You mean meeting someone? She doesn't deny it. That's how I know it's true. The rain sounds like applause. Like the world is congratulating her on her honesty. His name is Colonel Brennan, she says quietly. He was my ethics instructor. He's 46. Divorced. He has 2 kids in college. He understands what I'm going through in ways you never could. Ethics instructor. The irony would be funny if it weren't currently destroying my life. How long? I ask. Marcus. How long, Sarah? For months. Maybe 5. It's not. It wasn't serious at first. It just happened. These things just happen sometimes. These things don't just happen. These things are choices. A series of choices, each one moving you further from the person you promised to love, closer to the person you decided you wanted instead. But I don't say that. What's the point? There's more, she says, and her voice gets harder now. More confident. Like she's building up to something she's been wanting to say for a while. I need you to understand something, Marcus. I'm an officer now. I move in different circles. I attend functions with generals, with politicians, with people who shape policy and command respect. I can't show up to those events with someone who smells like coffee grounds and can't tell a brigadier from a battalion commander. I blink at her. What? I need a partner who matches my ambitions. Someone who understands the military life. Someone I don't have to explain to my colleagues. Someone who fits. Someone who fits, I echo. Yes. And I'm sorry, but that's not you. You're a civilian, Marcus. A low-life civilian who never amounted to anything. And I can't build the life I want with someone like that holding me back. Low-life civilian. The words hit like a slap. Like a door closing. Like the sound your heart makes when it finally understands what your brain has been trying to tell it for months. I stand up. My chair scrapes against the floor. Sarah flinches slightly, then catches herself, straightens, meets my eyes with that same rehearsed confidence. I date generals now, she says, and there's something cruel in her voice. Something that wants me to react. To yell. To beg. To give her the satisfaction of seeing me break so she can feel like the ending of our marriage was dramatic enough to be worth it. People with power. People with futures. Not. She gestures at me, at the pasta sauce on my shirt, at my worn jeans and my calloused hands and the exhaustion in my eyes. Not this. The rain is deafening now. I walk to the counter and pick up a pen. I return to the table, take the papers from the envelope, and flip to the last page. The signature line. Sarah watches me with wide eyes, like she expected something else. Expected tears or anger or promises to change, to be better, to be someone who fits. I sign my name. Marcus James Holloway. Black ink on white paper. Neat handwriting because my mother raised me to sign documents carefully, to take my time, to make sure my signature meant something. It means goodbye. I set the pen down and slide the papers back across the table. Sarah stares at them like she can't quite believe what just happened. That's it, she asks. That's it. You're not going to fight for us? You just told me I'm a low-life civilian who doesn't fit your new life. What exactly am I supposed to fight for? She has no answer. Or maybe she does, but it's too late to say it. I walk to the bedroom, our bedroom, though it hasn't felt like hours in months, and start packing. I don't have much. Clothes that have been worn thin from too many washes. A laptop I bought used 3 years ago. Books with cracked spines and dog-eared pages. A shoebox full of photographs that I'll look through once, late some night when I'm drunk enough to think it won't hurt. And then I'll burn them, because keeping them would be like keeping a wound open. Sarah appears in the doorway. Where will you go? Does it matter? Marcus. I didn't. I don't want you to end up on the street, or you filed for divorce without telling me. You've been sleeping with your instructor for 5 months. You call me a lowlife. I don't think you get to worry about where I'm sleeping anymore. Her face hardens. Fine. I was trying to be nice, but fine. The apartment is in my name. I need you gone by the end of the week. I'll be gone by the end of the night. I pack everything into 2 duffel bags and a cardboard box. 6 years of shared life reduced to things I can carry. I take one last look around the apartment. At the life we built, at the dreams we shared, at the future that died sometime between her first day at the academy and tonight. Sarah is sitting on the couch when I walk toward the door. She's crying. Quiet tears that slide down her cheeks like they're ashamed to exist. Part of me wants to comfort her. Old habits die hard. But a larger part, a part that's been growing these past months, recognizes that these tears aren't for me. They're for her. For the guilt she'll carry for exactly as long as it takes for Colonel Brennan to make her forget. I'm sorry, she whispers as I reach for the door handle. I stop. For what? For cheating? For lying? For throwing away 6 years like they meant nothing? For convincing me to believe in us while you were already planning your exit? Be specific, Sarah. What exactly are you sorry for? She doesn't answer. I leave the keys on the table by the door. I don't slam it. I close it quietly, with the respect you show a grave, and walk out into the rain. My Honda is parked on the street, old and battered and faithful in ways humans never are. I load my life into the trunk and the back seat. Through the apartment window, I can see Sarah still sitting on the couch, her phone already in her hand, probably calling Colonel Brennan to tell him it's done. It's over. She's free now. She comes to the window as I start the car. We make eye contact for 3 seconds. 4. 5. She's laughing. I can see her mouth moving, see her shoulders shaking. She's laughing at me. At the car. At the sight of me leaving with everything I own in garbage bags like some kind of refugee from my own life. I put the car in drive. And I disappear. The thing about disappearing is that it's easier than you think. People always make it sound dramatic. Like you need to fake your death or flee to another country or change your name to something mysterious and start over in a cabin in the woods. But the truth is, in a world of 7 billion people, becoming invisible just means stopping the small rituals that keep you visible. Stop answering your phone. Delete your social media. Don't tell anyone where you're going. Just step sideways out of your own life and let the current carry you somewhere new. That's what I do. I drive for 3 days, stopping only for gas and truck stop coffee that tastes like regret and broken dreams. I drive until the city is a memory, until the landscape changes from concrete to cornfields to mountains, until I can't remember the last time I saw a billboard or a traffic light. I drive until I reach a town so small it doesn't have a Starbucks, which means Sarah would never think to look for me here. Not that she's looking. The town is called Millbrook. Population 1,847. It has 1 main street, 2 churches, a diner that serves breakfast all day, and a bar called the Rusty Nail where the locals go to forget they live in a town called Millbrook. There's a hardware store that's been run by the same family for 3 generations, a post office where everyone knows everyone's business, and a gas station where the pump still has a mechanical dial that clicks as it counts gallons. I rent a room above the diner. It's small. A bed, a dresser, a bathroom with a shower that only has two temperatures, Arctic and scalding, and a window that overlooks Main Street. The wallpaper is yellowed and peeling at the corners. The mattress sags in the middle like it's given up. The whole place smells like bacon and despair. It's perfect. I get a job at the hardware store. The owner, a man named Frank who's about 65 and has hands like tree bark, asks only 3 questions. Can you lift 50 pounds? Can you show up on time? Do you know the difference between a Phillips head and a flathead screwdriver? I answer yes to all 3. He hires me on the spot. You running from something? He asks on my first day, handing me an apron with the store logo stitched on the chest. Isn't everyone? I reply. He laughs. Fair enough. We don't ask questions here. You do your job. We pay you. Everyone's happy. Sound good. Sounds perfect. And it is. The work is simple, physical, honest. I spend my days helping contractors find the right kind of nail, explaining the difference between latex and oil-based paint to confused homeowners, cutting keys, mixing concrete, loading bags of mulch into pickup trucks. I learned things I never knew I needed to know: how to identify lumber grades, how to read a pipe fitting chart, how to calculate square footage without a calculator. I learned the rhythms of the town. I learned that Frank opens at 6 a.m. sharp every morning except Sundays. I learned that Mrs. Patterson comes in every Wednesday to buy wildflower seeds she plants in her garden even though she's allergic to pollen. I learned that the high school kids shoplift candy bars, but always leave exact change in the register when they think no one's looking. I learned that Millbrook is the kind of place where people still wave at strangers and hold doors open and ask how you're doing because they actually want to know. I disappear into it, into the routine, into the anonymity of being just another face in a small town where nobody knows my history and nobody asks. I change my phone number. I don't give it to anyone except Frank, and only because he needs it for work schedules. I delete every social media account. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of it gone with a few clicks. I cancel my old email and create a new one that I check once a week. I cut my hair short. I grow a beard. I start wearing flannel shirts and work boots. I become someone else. Someone who exists in the present tense only, with no past tense to explain and no future tense to worry about. Months pass. The seasons change. Winter comes, brutal and clean, burying Millbrook under 3 feet of snow that turns the world quiet and white and makes you feel like you're living in a snow globe someone forgot to shake. I learned to drive in ice. I learned to fix a furnace. I learned to be alone without being lonely. Spring arrives with a violence of green. Everything blooming at once like the earth is making up for lost time. I help Frank build new shelving units. I start eating breakfast at the diner every morning. Eggs over easy, wheat toast, coffee black, and eventually Betty, the waitress who's worked there for 30 years, stops asking for my order and just brings it to me automatically. Summer is quiet. Tourists pass through on their way to somewhere more interesting, and I watch them from the hardware store window. Families in minivans, couples in sports cars, groups of motorcyclists chasing the horizon. They stop for gas and snacks and bathroom breaks, and then they're gone, leaving nothing behind but tire marks and the lingering smell of exhaust. I don't miss Sarah. That's not true. I do miss her, but not the Sarah who called me a lowlife and laughed as I drove away. I miss the Sarah from before. The Sarah who used to wake me up at midnight because she wanted to dance in the kitchen. The Sarah who cried during sad commercials and laughed at bad jokes and believed that love was enough to overcome any obstacle. The Sarah who used to trace my face with her fingertips in the dark and whisper that she was lucky to have found me. That Sarah is gone. Maybe she never existed. Maybe I invented her, projected my own hopes and dreams onto a woman who was always going to outgrow me. Maybe that's what love is. Just a story we tell ourselves until reality writes a different ending. I don't date. A few people try. Betty's niece asks me to go line dancing. A contractor's daughter brings me homemade cookies. Even Frank's daughter, who's visiting from Denver, suggests we grab dinner sometime. I decline politely. I tell them I'm not ready. I tell them I'm busy. I tell them anything except the truth, which is that I don't trust myself to love anyone anymore. I don't trust that I can read the signs when someone is starting to leave. I don't trust that I'll see the ending coming before it hits me like a freight train made of divorce papers and broken promises. On slow days at the store, When there are no customers and Frank is in the back doing inventory, I sometimes take out my phone and look at my blocked numbers. There's only one. Sarah's. I blocked it the day I left, and I've never unblocked it. I wonder sometimes if she ever tried to call. If she ever wanted to apologize, to explain, to ask if I was okay. But wondering isn't the same as checking, and checking would mean caring, and I've worked too hard to stop caring to ruin it now. A year passes, then 2, then 3. I become part of Millbrook. I'm not the stranger anymore. I'm Marcus, the guy from the hardware store. The guy who helped the Martinez family rebuild their porch after the storm. The guy who taught Frank's grandson how to build a birdhouse. The guy who shows up at town meetings and votes on whether to repave Main Street and volunteers to judge the pumpkin carving contest every Halloween. I'm not running anymore. I'm just living. Quietly. Simply. In a way that would have bored the old me. The me who dreamed big dreams and believed in soulmates and thought that love was the most important thing in the world. That me is gone. This me knows better. 10 years and 4 months after I signed the divorce papers, my phone rings at 2:37 a.m. I'm awake. I'm always awake at 2:37 a.m. Insomnia is the ghost that haunts me, the price I pay for peace during the day. I'm sitting in my small living room. I've upgraded from the room above the diner to a one-bedroom apartment on the edge of town, drinking chamomile tea that Betty swears will help me sleep, but never does. I'm reading a book about woodworking. I've taken up carpentry as a hobby. I build furniture now. Tables, chairs, shelves. Things that are useful. Things that last. The phone rings, and I ignore it. Unknown number. Probably spam. Probably someone calling about my car's extended warranty or my non-existent student loans. It rings again. Same number. I let it go to voicemail. It rings a third time. Fourth. Fifth. By the sixth call, I'm annoyed enough to answer. Hello. Marcus. The voice is female. Familiar. Desperate. My stomach drops. Who is this? It's me. It's Sarah. Please don't hang up. Please, I need to talk to you. I've been trying to reach you for days. Your old number doesn't work, and I had to hire someone to find your new one, and I hang up. The phone immediately rings again. I block the number and go back to my book, but the words swim on the page. My hands are shaking. After 10 years of nothing, no contact, no messages, no attempts to reach me, suddenly she's calling. Desperately. In the middle of the night. Something is wrong. I tell myself I don't care. I tell myself she made her choice a decade ago, and I made mine by leaving. I tell myself that whatever crisis she's facing now has nothing to do with me, that I don't owe her anything, that the best thing I can do is forget she called and go back to my quiet life. But I can't. Because here's the truth about love, it doesn't die clean. It doesn't end the way movies end, with a final scene and credits rolling and everyone moving on to the next story. Love lingers. It leaves scars that ache when the weather changes. It leaves questions that won't stop asking themselves in the middle of the night. It leaves a part of you that still cares even when you've convinced yourself you don't. I check my blocked calls. 17 missed calls. All from the same number. All between midnight and now. I unblock it. The phone rings immediately, like she was waiting, watching, hoping. I answer. What do you want, Sarah? Marcus. She's crying. Full, heaving sobs that make her voice thick and broken. Thank God. Thank God you answered. I didn't know if you would. I didn't know if I'd ever. What do you want? A pause. A breath. A sound like she's trying to pull herself together and failing. I need help, she says finally. I'm in trouble. Real trouble. I don't have anyone else to call. I know I don't deserve. I know I have no right to ask. But please, Marcus. Please, I need you. You need me. The words taste like ash. You needed me 10 years ago. You needed me when you decided to cheat on me. You needed me when you signed divorce papers and called me a lowlife. You've needed me this whole time. Sarah, you just didn't realize it until whatever perfect life you built came crashing down. You're right, she whispers. You're absolutely right. I was terrible to you. I said unforgivable things. I threw away the best thing in my life because I was selfish and stupid and thought I knew what I wanted. And I've regretted it every day since. Every single day, Marcus. But right now, I'm not calling to apologize. I'm calling because I need help, and you're the only person I trust. You trust me. I laugh. It sounds bitter even to my own ears. You don't know me anymore, Sarah. I'm not the same person I was. Neither am I. Then we have nothing to talk about. I'm being investigated, she blurts out. By the military. For fraud. Misappropriation of funds. It could mean a court-martial. Prison. Dishonorable discharge. My entire life is falling apart, and I don't know what to do. Please, Marcus. I know I hurt you. I know I don't deserve your help. But I'm drowning, and you're the only person who ever really knew me. The only person who ever really loved me. Please. I close my eyes. I'm back in that apartment, watching her sign those papers. Watching her laugh as I drove away. I'm remembering every lonely night. Every moment I had to rebuild myself from nothing. Every time I had to remind myself that I was worth more than she made me feel. I can't help you, I say quietly. Marcus. I can't help you, Sarah. I'm sorry you're in trouble. I am. But I'm not your husband anymore. I'm not your friend. I'm not anything to you. You made sure of that. Don't do this. Please. I'm begging you. Goodbye, Sarah. Wait. Just give me your address. Let me come see you. Let me explain everything. Face to face. If you still want nothing to do with me after that, fine. I'll accept it. But please, just give me a chance to. No. I hang up. I block the number again. I turn off my phone and sit in the dark, feeling the weight of 10 years pressing down on my chest like a stone. She calls 169 times over the next 3 days. Different numbers. Blocked numbers. Numbers from area codes I don't recognize. She leaves voicemails. Texts. Emails to the address I thought she didn't know. Each message more desperate than the last. Marcus, please. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I need you. They're going to destroy me. Everything I worked for. Everything I sacrificed. It's all going away. You were right about everything. About Colonel Brennan. About the life I chose. I was wrong. I was so wrong. Please. I'm not the woman I was. I've changed. I've grown up. Just talk to me. Please. I'll do anything. Tell me what you need. Tell me how to make this right. Marcus, I'm scared. I don't respond. Not once. On the 4th day, my phone stays silent. The messages stop. The calls end. And I tell myself that's the end of it. That Sarah has finally accepted that I'm gone. That I'm not coming back. That whatever help she needed will have to come from someone else. But I know Sarah. Or at least, I knew Sarah. She doesn't give up. She just changes tactics. Frank finds me in the lumber section, organizing 2x4s by length. You got a visitor, he says. Out front. Says she knows you. I don't have to ask who it is. I can feel it in my gut, that same dropping sensation I felt when I heard her voice on the phone. Tell her I'm busy. I did. She says she'll wait. Tell her to leave. Marcus. Frank's voice is gentle but firm. I don't know who this woman is or what happened between you two, but she's sitting in a rental car outside my store crying her eyes out. She's been there for 20 minutes. It's making the customers uncomfortable. Whatever you need to say to her, say it. Get it over with. Then we can all move on. He's right. Running worked for 10 years, but you can't run forever. Eventually, the past catches up. Eventually, you have to face the things you thought you'd escaped. I set down the lumber and walk outside. The rental car is parked directly in front of the store. It's a silver sedan, generic and forgettable, the kind of car someone drives when they're trying not to be noticed. Sarah is sitting in the driver's seat, head down, shoulders shaking. She looks up when I approach. Our eyes meet through the windshield. She's older. Of course she is. 10 years older. But it's more than that. She looks tired, worn down. The sharp confidence she had at her graduation is gone, replaced by something that looks like defeat. Her hair, once always perfectly styled, is pulled back in a messy ponytail. She's wearing civilian clothes, jeans and a sweater that looks expensive but rumpled, like she's been sleeping in it. There are dark circles under her eyes, lines around her mouth that weren't there before. She gets out of the car slowly, like she's not sure her legs will hold her. We stand facing each other across 10 feet of parking lot and 10 years of silence. Hi, she says finally. Her voice is small, tentative. Nothing like the woman who told me she dated generals now. You need to leave, I say. I know. I will. I needed to see you. To see that you're real. To see that you're okay. Her eyes scan me, taking in the beard, the flannel, the work boots, the version of me that didn't exist when she knew me. You look different. So do you. I deserve that. We stand in silence. A truck drives past on Main Street, and the driver, old Joe Henderson, waves at me. I wave back. It's such a normal moment, such a mundane gesture, but I can see Sarah registering it, realizing that I have a life here. A life she's not part of. A life that doesn't include her. I shouldn't have come, she says. You made it clear on the phone. I just thought. I don't know what I thought. That maybe seeing me would change something. That maybe you'd remember how we used to be, Anne. How we used to be. The words come out sharper than I intended. You mean before you cheated on me? Before you threw away our marriage? Before you called me a lowlife and laughed when I left? She flinches. I was horrible. I know. I've lived with that guilt every day for 10 years. Good. You have every right to hate me. I don't hate you, Sarah. Hate requires energy. Requires caring. I just don't think about you anymore. It's cruel. I know it's cruel. But it's also true. She wraps her arms around herself, even though it's not cold. Can we talk? Just for a few minutes? Please. There's a diner across the street. I'll buy you coffee. I'll tell you everything. And then I'll leave. I promise. You'll never hear from me again. I should say no. I should turn around, go back into the store, and let her drive away to whatever consequences she's earned. But there's something in her eyes. Something broken and desperate and honest. That makes me hesitate. One coffee, I say. 15 minutes. Then you're gone. Relief floods her face. Thank you. Thank you so much. We walk to the diner in silence. Betty is behind the counter when we enter, and she gives me a look that clearly says, who is this woman, and do I need to call the sheriff? I give her a small shake of my head. Sarah and I sit in a booth by the window. The same booth I sit in every morning. My booth. Sarah orders coffee. Black. Same as she used to drink it. Some things don't change. Talk, I say. She wraps her hands around the mug like she needs the warmth. Where do I start? With why you're here. Right? Okay. She takes a breath. I'm being investigated by the military for financial misconduct. Specifically, for creating fake contracts with vendors who don't exist, approving payments to those vendors, and pocketing the money. A lot of money. Over $2 million across 5 years. I blink. Did you do it? No. She meets my eyes. I swear to God, Marcus, I didn't do it. But someone did. Someone used my credentials, my digital signature, my access codes. And all the evidence points to me. My chain of command thinks I did it. The investigators think I did it. My lawyer thinks I should take a plea deal because we can't prove I'm innocent. It's only a matter of time before they convene a court-martial. And you want me to do what exactly? I don't know. I needed to tell someone who might believe me. Someone who knows I'm not perfect, but who also knows I'm not a criminal. I made terrible choices in my personal life. I hurt you in ways I can never make right. But I would never steal. I would never betray my oath like that. The Sarah I knew wouldn't have, I say quietly. But I don't know the Sarah you became. Neither do I. She laughs bitterly. I spent 10 years trying to be someone else. Someone impressive. Someone important. I climbed the ranks. Made major 2 years ago. I got stationed at the Pentagon. I worked in procurement, reviewing contracts, managing budgets, interfacing with defense contractors. It was everything I thought I wanted. Power. Prestige. Access to the people who make decisions. I was exactly where I wanted to be. With Colonel Brennan? She shakes her head. That ended after 6 months. He got transferred. Found someone younger. The pattern you saw in me, I saw in him too late. After that, I dated other officers. Other men who looked good on paper. But none of them were you. Don't, I say. Don't what? Don't rewrite history. Don't pretend you spent 10 years pining for me. You made your choice. You got exactly what you wanted, a life without a low-life civilian holding you back. I was wrong. Her voice cracks. I was so wrong, Marcus. It took me years to realize it, but everything I thought I wanted was empty. The career, the status, the respect. All of it meant nothing because I didn't have anyone to share it with. Not really. Every relationship I had after you was transactional, strategic. Nobody loved me. They loved my rank, my connections, what I could do for them. And I did the same thing. I became the person I accused you of not being. Someone who valued ambition over love, achievement over connection. And now look at me. I'm about to lose everything, and the only person I want to talk to is the man I destroyed 10 years ago. Betty refills our coffee mugs. Sarah waits until she's gone before continuing. I hired a private investigator, she says, to look into who might have framed me. He found some inconsistencies in the paper trail, but nothing concrete enough to clear my name. The investigator said the only way to prove my innocence is to find out who actually did this and why. But I can't do that from inside the system. Everyone at the Pentagon is watching me now. My access has been revoked. My accounts are frozen. I'm living in a hotel because I can't access my own house while the investigation is ongoing. So you came to me. So I came to you. She looks down at her coffee. I know it's insane. I know you have no reason to help me. But you were always smarter than anyone gave you credit for. You could see patterns other people missed. You could figure things out. And you're outside the system. Nobody knows about you. You're a ghost. By design, I remind her. I disappeared because I wanted to disappear. Because I needed to leave that life, your life, behind. I know. And I'm asking you to drag yourself back into it. For me. For someone who doesn't deserve your help. I'm asking you to risk your peace for my chaos. And if you say no, I'll understand. I'll leave right now. I'll never contact you again. I'll face whatever's coming alone. She stands up, leaving a $20 bill on the table for 2 cups of coffee. Thank you for listening, she says. That's more than I deserved. I'm staying at the motel off Route 47 if you change your mind. Roommate. I'll be there for 3 more days, and then I have to go back to DC for a hearing. After that, she trails off. After that, I'll probably be in Leavenworth. She walks to the door. Sarah, I call out. She turns, hope flaring in her eyes. Why me? I ask. Why, after 10 years, do you think I'm the person who can save you? She's quiet for a long moment. Because you're the only person who ever loved me for who I was, not what I could become. And I think, I hope, that somewhere under all the anger and hurt, you still do. She leaves before I can tell her she's wrong. I don't go back to work. I tell Frank I need the rest of the day off. He takes one look at my face and says, take tomorrow too, and the day after if you need it. I drive. Not home. Not to the motel where Sarah is waiting. Just drive. Out of Millbrook, onto country roads that cut through farmland and forests, roads I've traveled 100 times when I needed to think. I think about a lot of things. I think about the night I left, the rain pounding against my windshield, Sarah's laughter echoing in my head. I think about the years I spent building a new life, piece by piece, like assembling furniture from broken scraps. I think about the man I was. Eager to please, willing to sacrifice everything for love, and the man I became, guarded, careful, allergic to vulnerability. I think about Sarah as she was and Sarah as she is now. Different, damaged, desperate. I think about justice and revenge and whether there's any real difference between the two. Here's the thing about being hurt. It changes you. It teaches you that the world isn't fair, that promises can be broken, that the people you trust most can become the people who hurt you worst. And you have a choice in how you respond to that lesson. You can close yourself off, build walls so high that nothing can hurt you again, live your life in the safe monotony of shallow connections and surface-level relationships. Or you can stay open, keep risking, keep believing that not everyone will leave, not everyone will lie, not everyone will laugh as you drive away. I've been living behind walls for 10 years. And I'm tired. Not tired of the walls. Tired of needing them. Tired of the version of myself that requires protection from the world. Tired of being defined by what Sarah did to me instead of who I chose to become despite her. Helping her isn't about forgiveness. I'm not sure I can forgive her. It's not even about whether she deserves help. It's about who I want to be. Not who I was before she hurt me. Not who I became after. Someone new. Someone who can look at his past without flinching. Someone who can help even when it's hard. Even when it reopens old wounds. Even when the person asking doesn't deserve it. I turn the car around. The motel off Route 47 is exactly what you'd expect. Single story, worn paint. Neon vacancy sign flickering like a dying heartbeat. I park in front of room 8 and sit in my car for 5 minutes, giving myself one last chance to change my mind. I don't change my mind. I knock on the door. Sarah opens it immediately, like she's been waiting right there, hoping. She's still in the same clothes. Her eyes are red from crying. Can I come in? I ask. She steps back wordlessly. The room is generic. 2 double beds with floral bedspreads, a TV bolted to a dresser, a small table with 2 chairs, industrial carpet that's seen better decades. There's a laptop open on the table, surrounded by papers, printouts of contracts, financial statements, correspondence. Sarah's been working. You came, she says. I came. Does that mean? It means I'll look at what you have. No promises. If I think you're guilty, I walk away and you never contact me again. If I think you're innocent, I'll help you figure out who did this. Those are the terms. Take them or leave them. I take them. She's almost crying again. Thank you. Thank you so much. Don't thank me yet. I sit at the table and start reading. It takes me 3 hours to read through everything Sarah has compiled. Financial records, contract approvals, email chains, personnel files. By the end, my eyes are burning and my back aches from hunching over the table, but I have a clear picture of what happened. Someone is very, very good at fraud. The scheme is elegant in its simplicity. Over the course of 5 years, someone created 12 shell companies with legitimate-sounding names: Cornerstone Defense Solutions, Patriot Supply Systems, Eagle Tech Industries. Each company was registered in a different state, had a professional website, listed services that aligned perfectly with Pentagon procurement needs. Each company had bank accounts, tax IDs, business licenses, all the hallmarks of legitimacy. The contracts started small. $50,000 here, $80,000 there. Small enough to fly under the radar. Small enough that nobody would question them. But over time, they grew. $200,000. $500,000. Eventually, million-dollar contracts for supplies that were never delivered, services that were never rendered, equipment that never existed. And every single contract was approved by Major Sarah Holloway. Except she didn't approve them. Walk me through your typical day, I say, looking up from the papers. 5 years ago, when this started, what did a normal workday look like? Sarah is lying on one of the beds, staring at the ceiling. She sits up. I got to the office around 0700. Reviewed incoming requisitions. Met with contracting officers to discuss pending deals. Approved or rejected contracts based on budget availability and need. Coordinated with program managers. Left around 1800 if I was lucky, 2100 if I wasn't. How did you approve contracts? Digital signature. Everything is electronic now. I'd log into the system, review the contract, click approve if it met requirements. Who had access to your computer? Just me. It was password protected. Did you ever write down your password? She hesitates. Maybe. Early on, when I first got the position. It was a complex password, mixture of letters, numbers, symbols. I might have written it down on a post-it note until I memorized it. Where did you keep the post-it? In my desk drawer, I think. Maybe under my keyboard. I honestly don't remember. That was 5 years ago. Who had access to your office? Lots of people. It wasn't a secure facility. I mean, you needed a badge to get into the building, but once you were in, people wandered pretty freely. Other officers. Civilians working on contracts. Administrative staff. IT personnel. IT personnel, I repeat. How often did they access your computer? I don't know. Maybe once a month? Whenever there were system updates, or if I had technical problems. Did you ever leave your computer unlocked? Probably. Everyone did. If you were just stepping out for a few minutes, you didn't always lock it. That was normal. I leaned back in my chair. So someone had access to your office, possibly had your password written down, knew the contract approval system, and had enough technical knowledge to create fake companies and route money through them. That describes half the people in procurement, Sarah says. We're talking about dozens of potential suspects. Not dozens. Look at the timeline. I tap one of the printouts. The first fraudulent contract was approved on March 3rd, 5 years ago. The last one was approved June 15th of last year. What happened last June? I was promoted to major. Got transferred to a different office within the Pentagon. Different responsibilities. And the fraud stopped. Why? Because whoever was doing it didn't have access to my credentials anymore. Exactly. Which means the person we're looking for worked closely with you for those 5 years and was affected by your transfer. Who fits that profile? Sarah thinks. My administrative assistant, maybe? Sergeant Chun. She handled a lot of my paperwork, had access to my office, knew my schedule. What else do you know about her? She was good at her job. Efficient. Quiet. Kept to herself mostly. She'd been in that position for 6 years when I arrived, so she knew the systems better than I did. She trained me on the contract approval process. She trained you. Yes. So she would have known your password, your access codes, everything. Possibly. But Marcus, she was a sergeant. A mid-level enlisted soldier. She wasn't sophisticated enough to pull off something like this. Creating shell companies, managing multiple bank accounts, covering her tracks for years, that takes expertise. Or a partner, I say, someone with financial knowledge. Someone who could set up the corporate structure while she handled the Pentagon side. Did she ever mention family? Friends? Relationships? Sarah rubs her temples. I don't know. I didn't really pay attention to her personal life. She was just there, part of the furniture. I'm a terrible person. You're not a terrible person. You're just like everyone else, focused on your own problems, your own career. Most people don't notice the people in support roles. They're invisible by design. Where is she now? I don't know. When I transferred, I assumed she stayed in the same office. Or got reassigned. I lost track of her. I make a note. I'll need to find her. What was her full name? Michelle Chun. Sergeant Michelle Chun. I write it down. Then I go back through the financial records, looking for patterns. The payments to the shell companies all went to different bank accounts, but they all share something. They were processed through the same regional bank. A small institution in Delaware called First Harbor Trust. Delaware, I say out loud. Of course, Delaware corporate law. Easy to set up shell companies, minimal disclosure requirements, business-friendly courts. What does that mean? It means whoever did this knew what they were doing. They didn't just stumble into fraud. They researched it, planned it. This was deliberate and sophisticated. I pull up the bank information on Sarah's laptop. First Harbor Trust has a website that looks legitimate but generic. Stock photos of smiling people shaking hands. Testimonials that sound like they were written by AI. A physical address in Wilmington. I need to go to Delaware, I say. I'll come with you. No, you're too visible. If anyone sees you investigating this while you're under investigation, it'll look like you're trying to obstruct justice. I'll go alone. Marcus, I can't ask you to. You didn't ask. I offered. But I need something from you first. Anything. I need you to write down everything you remember about Sergeant Chen. Where she's from. Her family. Her friends. Anything she ever mentioned about her life. Any detail, no matter how small. Can you do that? Yes. But why? Because criminals don't exist in a vacuum. They have lives. Histories. Reasons. If we can understand Chen's story, we can understand why she did this. And if we can understand why, we can prove it. Sarah nods and starts writing. I go back to the financial records, cross-referencing dates and amounts, looking for anything unusual. And then I see it. One of the shell companies, Patriot Supply Systems, received a contract for $1.2 million on November 18th, 2 years ago. According to the records, the payment was approved by Major Sarah Holloway at 2:47 p.m. But Sarah wasn't even in the country on November 18th. What were you doing 2 years ago in mid-November? I ask. She looks up from her writing. 2 years ago? That was when I went to Germany. Training exercise with NATO forces. I was gone for 3 weeks. Can you prove it? Of course. Military travel orders. Flight records. Photos from the trip. I was definitely in Germany. Why? I show her the contract approval. Because according to this, you were in your office in D.C. at 2:47 p.m. approving a $1 million contract. Understanding dawns on her face. I couldn't have approved it. Which means someone else did. Using your credentials. And this is the first provable instance where we can demonstrate that you physically couldn't have committed the fraud. This is it, she breathes. This is the proof we need. It's a start, I caution. But we need more. We need to prove who actually did it. We need to prove motive. We need to build a case strong enough that the military investigators can't ignore it. One impossible approval isn't enough. So what do? You gather every piece of documentation proving you were in Germany during that 3-week period. I go to Delaware and find out who's behind First Harbor Trust. And then we find Michelle Chun and make her talk. Sarah's expression hardens. What if she doesn't want to talk? Everyone talks eventually, I say. You just need to know what questions to ask. I leave for Delaware the next morning. It's a 10-hour drive from Millbrook, but I don't mind. I've always thought better behind the wheel, and I need time to think. Time to process the fact that I'm doing this. Helping the woman who destroyed me. Diving back into a world I left behind. Risking the peace I've built for the past decade. I should resent it. Part of me does. But another part, a part one thought I'd buried, feels alive in a way it hasn't in years. There's something about solving a puzzle, about finding the truth hidden beneath layers of deception, That makes me feel useful. Important. Like I'm not just a guy organizing lumber in a hardware store, but someone with skills that matter. Maybe that's why Sarah called me. Not because she thought I could help, but because she remembered that version of me. The version that could see what others missed. I reach Wilmington at 7 p.m. The city is gray and industrial, with pockets of revitalized downtown, trying to pretend it's not surrounded by decay. I find a cheap motel, seems to be my theme lately, and spend the evening researching First Harbor Trust. The bank has been in business for 11 years. It specializes in corporate banking services and international accounts. It has no physical branch that I can find, despite the address listed on its website. Its president is listed as someone named Richard Voss. Google tells me nothing about Richard Voss except that he's listed as an officer of about 40 different Delaware corporations. A shell game. All of it. The next morning, I drive to the address listed for First Harbor Trust. It's a UPS store in a strip mall. Inside, a bored teenager is processing packages. Help you, he asks. I'm looking for First Harbor Trust. Who? First Harbor Trust. This is their address. He shrugs. We have like 500 business mailboxes. Half of them are companies I've never heard of. You got a box number? I don't have a box number. Is there a manager I can talk to? Sure. Hey, Mike. A man in his 40s emerges from the back, looking annoyed. What? This guy's asking about one of the box companies. Mike's annoyance intensifies. We can't give out information about our clients. Privacy policy. I'm not asking for private information. I say. I just want to know if anyone actually picks up mail from the First Harbor Trust box. Can't tell you that either. You a cop? No. Lawyer? No. Then I definitely can't help you. He starts to walk away. Wait. I pull out my wallet and take out 2 20s. I just need to know if someone picks up the mail regularly. That's it. I'm not asking for names or addresses. Just yes or no. Mike looks at the money. Looks at me. Takes the money. No, he says. Mail piles up until the box is full. Then we return it to sender. Nobody's picked up mail from that box in at least 2 years. Do you remember who opened the account? Nope. That was before my time. But I can tell you it was opened online. Paid annually with a credit card. Automatic renewal. We probably don't even know who owns it. Can you find out? Not without a subpoena. Dead end. But not completely. If the mail is returned to sender, that means there's an address. Where does the mail get returned to? Wherever it came from. We just mark it, return to sender, and put it back in the system. Thanks. I leave Mike with his $40 and drive back to my motel to regroup. First Harbor Trust is a shell. The Delaware address is a mailbox. Nobody is physically managing the bank. It exists purely on paper, purely electronically, which means the money flowing through it is being controlled remotely. Someone set up automatic transfers, created the corporate structure, and walked away, letting it run on autopilot while millions of dollars moved from Pentagon accounts to untraceable destinations. I call Sarah. I hit a wall, I tell her. The bank is fake. Just a corporate entity with no real presence. Whoever set this up knew how to hide their tracks. So we're back to finding Chun, she says. Yeah. Any luck with your memory work? Some. I remembered she mentioned having a sister in California. San Diego, maybe? Or San Francisco. Somewhere in California with an S. She also said her father was a financial advisor before he retired. I don't know where. Father was a financial advisor. I repeat. That's significant. If Chun learned about finance from her father, she'd have the knowledge to set up something like this. Or her father could be involved. Possible. What else? She drove a Honda Civic. Silver. She always brought lunch from home. She was into running, mentioned doing marathons. She wasn't married, no kids. That's all I remember. I'm sorry it's not more helpful. It's more than we had. I'll see what I can dig up. You focus on getting those Germany travel records. We're going to need an airtight timeline. Marcus. Yeah. Thank you. I know I've said it before, but thank you. You didn't have to do any of this. I know. Why are you doing it? I'm quiet for a moment. I'm not sure yet. Maybe I'll figure it out by the time this is over. I hang up and open my laptop. Time to find Michelle Chun. Finding someone who doesn't want to be found is harder than movies make it look. Michelle Chun has no social media presence. No Facebook. No Instagram. No LinkedIn. Either she's incredibly private or she's been careful to erase her digital footprint. I start with military records. There are websites where you can search for service members, but they require information I don't have: social security number, date of birth, unit assignments. I'm working with just a name and a rank. I try the Pentagon directory. No Michelle Chen listed in the office where Sarah used to work. I call the main switchboard, pretending to be an old friend trying to reconnect. The operator tells me she can't give out personal information. I ask if Michelle Chen still works there. The operator says she's not at liberty to discuss personnel matters. Another dead end. I try a different approach. I search for Michelle Chen in military news. Awards. Commendations. Anything that might give me a lead. Nothing. Then I remember what Sarah said. Chen was into running. Marathons. I search for marathon results. San Diego Marathon. San Francisco Marathon. Los Angeles Marathon. I search for years around the time Chen would have been running them, 5 to 10 years ago. And I find her. Michelle Chen. Age 32. Completed the San Diego Marathon in 4 hours, 17 minutes, and 32 seconds. That was 7 years ago. I cross-reference with other marathons. She ran 6 marathons in 3 years, all in California, all with decent times. Someone who's serious about running. Someone who has discipline. Someone who plans and executes. I find an old race photo. It's small and grainy, but I can make out a woman with dark hair, lean and fit, wearing bib number 3847. She's not smiling. Now I have something. I search for Michelle Chen in San Diego. Property records. Voter registration. Business licenses. Nothing. But her father was a financial advisor. And Sarah said he'd retired. I search for Chen plus financial advisor plus San Diego. Bingo. Thomas Chen. Worked for Merrill Lynch for 30 years. Retired 6 years ago. Last known address. La Jolla, an affluent neighborhood in San Diego. I do a reverse address search. The house is still owned by Thomas Chen. Property value, $2.3 million. Now we're getting somewhere. I book a flight to San Diego. San Diego is everything Millbrook is not. Sun and ocean and wealth that doesn't need to announce itself. I rent a car at the airport and drive to La Jolla, where the houses perch on cliffs overlooking the Pacific and the air smells like salt and money. Thomas Chen's house is white stucco with a red tile roof, palm trees in the yard, a 3-car garage. There's a Tesla in the driveway. Wind chimes hanging from the porch. A garden that's been meticulously maintained. I park across the street and watch. For 3 hours, nothing happens. No one enters or leaves. The house is still. Then, at 4 p.m., the garage door opens and a woman emerges. She's in her 30s, Asian, wearing running clothes. She does some stretches in the driveway, then takes off jogging down the street. It's her. I'm sure of it. I wait 15 minutes, then approach the house and ring the doorbell. An older man answers. He's in his 70s, silver hair, wearing khakis and a polo shirt. He looks at me with polite curiosity. Can I help you? Mr. Chen. Yes. My name is Marcus Holloway. I'm investigating a case of fraud at the Pentagon involving your daughter, Michelle. His expression doesn't change, but something shifts in his eyes. Recognition. Wariness. I don't know what you're talking about. Sir, I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm trying to help someone who's been wrongfully accused of a crime your daughter committed. I have evidence. I just need to talk to Michelle. Is she here? My daughter doesn't live here. But she was just here. I saw her leave 10 minutes ago. That was my niece. You're mistaken. Mr. Chen, I think you should leave. He starts to close the door. $2 million. I say quickly. That's how much was stolen. Your daughter used her position in the Pentagon to approve fake contracts. She funneled money through shell companies. She framed her commanding officer. And now that officer is facing a court-martial while Michelle is free. Is that justice? The door stops closing. Who are you really? Thomas Chen asks. Someone who got hurt by the person being framed. Someone who wants the truth to come out. That's all. And if I help you, then maybe we can stop this before it destroys more lives. He studies me for a long moment, then sighs. Come in. The house is beautiful inside. Hardwood floors, vaulted ceilings, art on the walls that probably costs more than I make in a year. Thomas Chen leads me to a living room with windows overlooking the ocean. Michelle is my daughter, he says, sitting down heavily. She's my only child. I love her, but I'm not blind to who she is. Tell me. I say. She's brilliant. Always has been. Straight A's. Full scholarship to Berkeley. ROTC. She had a plan for her life, and she executed it perfectly. Got her commission, got assigned to the Pentagon, worked hard, did everything right. He pauses, but she was never satisfied, never happy. There was always something more she wanted, some level of success she hadn't reached yet. When did she start the fraud? I don't know that she did. Mr. Chun, I don't know that she did, he repeats. But I know she's been living beyond her means for years. She bought a condo in Coronado, drives a BMW, takes expensive vacations. And a sergeant's salary doesn't cover that lifestyle. I asked her about it once. She said she'd made good investments. I wanted to believe her. Did you teach her about finance? Yes. I taught her everything I knew. How to read a balance sheet. How to evaluate stocks. How to set up accounts. I thought I was preparing her for a successful future. I didn't realize I was giving her the tools to commit crimes. Where is she now? I told you, she doesn't live here. But you know how to reach her. He's quiet for a long time. Then he stands and walks to a desk in the corner. He writes something on a piece of paper and hands it to me. It's an address. San Diego, but not La Jolla. A different neighborhood. And a phone number. That's her condo, Thomas Chin says. And that's her number. But Mr. Holloway, if you're going to confront her, you should know. Michelle doesn't respond well to confrontation. She's not like other people. She doesn't feel guilt the way normal people do. She doesn't see herself as wrong. She'll justify anything she's done. She'll make you doubt yourself. Be careful. I will. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just make sure the truth comes out. Whatever it is. I leave his house and drive to the address he gave me. Michelle Chin's condo is in a modern building near the harbor. Expensive, but not ostentatious. The kind of place a young professional would live if they wanted to seem successful without being flashy. I don't call first. I just go up to her unit and knock. She answers wearing the same running clothes from earlier. She's petite, fit, with sharp eyes that assess me instantly. Michelle Chun. I ask. Who's asking? My name is Marcus Holloway. I need to talk to you about Sarah Holloway. Her expression doesn't change. I don't know anyone by that name. She was your commanding officer. Major Sarah Holloway. You worked in procurement together for 5 years. I worked with a lot of people. And you framed her for fraud. Now she smiles. It's a cold smile. Calculated. You should leave. I have evidence. Financial records. Timeline discrepancies. And I have witness testimony from your father. The smile disappears. My father doesn't know anything. He knows enough. He knows you've been living beyond your means. He knows you learned finance from him. He knows. Stop. She holds up a hand. Just stop. You don't know what you're talking about. Then explain it to me. She studies me. Then steps back. Come in. 5 minutes. Then you leave and never come back. I follow her inside. The condo is immaculate. Minimalist furniture. Modern art. A laptop on the dining table surrounded by papers. Everything is organized. Everything is controlled. You were saying? Michelle prompts, crossing her arms. You set up shell companies. You used Sarah Holloway's credentials to approve fake contracts. You routed money through First Harbor Trust. You stole over $2 million from the Pentagon. And when you left that position, the fraud stopped. That's not a coincidence. Prove it. I can. I have documentation showing contracts approved when Sarah was out of the country. I have financial records showing all the money flowing through a bank you set up. I have your father's testimony about your lifestyle. And I have you. Living in a condo you couldn't afford on a sergeant's salary, driving a car that costs more than you make in a year. The evidence is overwhelming. She walks to her kitchen and pours herself a glass of water. She drinks it slowly, deliberately, like she's buying time to think. Let's say, hypothetically, that you're right, she says finally. Let's say I did all those things. What do you want? I want you to confess. I want you to tell the investigators what you did. I want you to clear Sarah's name. Why would I do that? Because it's the right thing to do. She laughs. Actually laughs. The right thing? Do you know how much Sarah Holloway made while I was her assistant? Over $100,000 a year. Do you know how much I made? $43,000. I did all the real work. I knew the systems. I trained her. I made her look competent. And she treated me like I was invisible. Like I was furniture. Just another enlisted soldier she didn't have to care about. So this was revenge. This was justice. She had everything. Rank, respect, opportunities, and she didn't even appreciate it. She complained about her job. She talked about how stressful it was. Meanwhile, I was doing the actual work for a third of the pay and zero recognition. So yes, I took some money. Money the Pentagon would have wasted anyway. Money that was rotting in bloated budgets while people like me struggled. And I made sure she'd take the fall for it. Because she deserved it. She didn't deserve to have her life destroyed. Neither did I. But the military doesn't care about people like me. It cares about people like her. Officers. People with connections. People who look good in uniforms. I'm just a sergeant. Expendable. Forgettable. So I took what was owed to me. It wasn't owed to you. You stole it. I reallocated it. There's a difference. I stare at her. Thomas Chin was right. She doesn't feel guilt. She's rewritten reality in her head so that she's the victim, so that her crimes are justified, so that Sarah is the villain of this story. I'm going to the authorities, I say. I'm going to give them everything I have. And you're going to prison. No, I'm not. She sets down her water glass. Because you don't have evidence. You have theories, speculation. And even if you did have proof, who's going to believe you? You're Sarah Holloway's ex-husband. Of course you try to defend her. You're biased. You're unreliable. The investigators will dismiss everything you say. I have documents. Documents I can explain away. Documents that don't definitively prove anything. I have your father. My father won't testify against me. He loves me. He'll protect me. I have the timeline showing Sarah was in Germany when contracts were approved. Clerical errors. System glitches. There are a dozen explanations that don't involve fraud. She's right. I know she's right. The evidence I have is circumstantial. Strong enough to cast doubt. Maybe, but not strong enough to convict. Not without her confession. Not without more. There has to be something. I say. Some trail you left. Some mistake. There isn't. I was careful. Methodical. I spent 2 years planning this before I executed it. And then I walked away clean. No one will ever prove I did anything wrong. I feel my frustration building. So you're just going to let Sarah go to prison? That's not my problem. It is your problem. You did this to her. No, she did this to herself. She chose to ignore the people who supported her. She chose to be blind to the work happening around her. She chose to care more about her career than the people who made it possible. I just gave her what she deserved. You're insane. I'm practical. She walks to her door and opens it. We're done here. Don't come back. Don't contact me again. And don't bother going to the authorities. You have nothing. You are nothing. Just like you were nothing when Sarah left you. She knows. She knows who I am, knows the history, knows exactly where to strike to cause maximum damage. I leave without another word. Outside, I sit in my rental car and hit the steering wheel hard enough to make my hand hurt. She's right. I don't have enough. Without her confession, without hard evidence linking her to the shell companies, without something concrete, Sarah is still going to face a court-martial. And Michelle Chun is going to get away with it. I call Sarah. I found her, I say. But it's not good news. Tell me. I explain everything. The conversation. Michelle's lack of remorse. Her belief that she'll never be caught. So that's it. Sarah asks quietly. She wins. I don't know. I need to think. There has to be something we're missing. Some angle we haven't considered. Marcus, maybe it's time to stop. You've done more than anyone could expect. You've proven I didn't do this. Even if we can't prove who did, at least I know the truth. Maybe that has to be enough. It's not enough. Why are you doing this? She asks. Really? Why do you care so much? Because I spent 10 years being angry at you. I say. And I'm tired. I'm tired of being the guy who got left behind. I'm tired of defining myself by what you did to me. If I can help you now, if I can solve this, maybe I can finally close that chapter. Maybe I can finally move on. Not by forgiving you. Not by forgetting. Just by proving to myself that I'm more than the person you broke. She's crying. I can hear it in her breath. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for all of it. I know. What do we do now? Let me think. I'll call you tomorrow. I hang up and drive back to my motel. I order takeout. I sit on the bed with my laptop and go through the financial records again, looking for anything I missed. And then I see it. One of the shell companies, Eagle Tech Industries, received 3 payments totaling $600,000. Those payments were processed through First Harbor Trust. But unlike the other payments, which were automatically transferred to untraceable accounts, these 3 payments were delayed. There's a 2-week gap between when they hit First Harbor Trust and when they were moved. Why? I dig deeper. I look at the dates. The first payment was delayed in August, 4 years ago. The second in November. The third in February, 3 years ago. I search for Michelle Chen's marathon schedule. She ran a marathon in August 4 years ago. Another in November. Another in February. The payments were delayed because she was traveling, because she was at races, because she couldn't monitor the accounts in real time, which means she was monitoring them manually, which means the transfers weren't automatic, which means there's a digital trail. I search for the destination of those payments. The money went to an account at a different bank, also in Delaware, also a shell. But that account had to be opened in person. Delaware banking regulations require identity verification for accounts over $500,000. Someone walked into a bank in Delaware and opened that account using fake documents. But banks keep records, security footage, transaction logs. If I can find that footage, I can prove Michelle Chen opened the account. I call a friend from my old life. Before Sarah, before the coffee shop. I had a life once, went to college, had a job in IT, had friends who worked in finance and tech and security. One of those friends is named Danny. He works for a cybersecurity firm that does contract work for banks. Marcus. Danny sounds shocked to hear from me. Holy shit, man. Where have you been? I tried to reach you after you dropped off the grid, but... Danny, I need a favor. A big one. And I need you not to ask questions. Okay, I'm listening. Can you access security footage from a bank? Legally. Depends. Which bank? And why? A small bank in Delaware. First Harbor Trust. I need footage from 3 to 4 years ago. I need to see who opened specific accounts. That's not something I can just do. Banks don't hand over footage to random people. What if I had a legal reason? What if this was part of an ongoing federal investigation? Then you'd need a subpoena. Or federal credentials. Do you have either? No. Then I can't help you. Danny. But, he interrupts, hypothetically, if someone wanted to access that information without going through official channels, they'd need to know someone with access to the bank's security systems. Someone like a vendor who does IT work for them. Someone who might be able to pull archived footage as part of a routine audit. Do you know someone like that? Maybe. But this could cost me my job. Maybe worse. What's this about? Someone I care about is being framed for fraud. The person who actually did it is about to get away with it. I need proof. This is my last chance. Danny is quiet. Then, send me the details. I'll see what I can do. No promises. Thank you. Don't thank me until you see if I can actually pull this off. I send him everything. The bank name, the account numbers, the dates. Then I wait. 3 days later, Danny calls. I got it, he says. Or my friend got it. But Marcus, this is sketchy as hell. If anyone finds out how this footage was obtained, it'll be inadmissible in court. Possibly illegal. You understand that? I understand. I'm sending you a secure link. Download it within the next hour, or it disappears forever. And don't tell anyone where you got this. Not even me. I'll deny everything. Thank you, Danny. You owe me. Like, you owe me big. The link arrives via encrypted email. I download the files onto a flash drive and then delete everything from my laptop. The files are security camera footage from First Harbor Trust, or rather, from the physical location the bank claimed as its headquarters. It's just another UPS store, but with a conference room you can rent. I watch the footage. Date, August 14th, 4 years ago. Time, 2:47 p.m. A woman walks into frame. She's wearing business casual clothes, carrying a leather folder. She signs something at the counter. The camera angle isn't great, but the face is clear enough. Michelle Chen. She's opening an account, using fake documents, using a fake business name, setting up the infrastructure for fraud. I have her. I make copies of the footage. Multiple copies. Cloud storage. Flash drives. Email to myself using encrypted services. I'm not taking any chances. Then I call Sarah. I have proof, I say. Real proof. Video footage of Michelle Chen opening one of the shell company accounts. She's on camera. It's undeniable. Oh my God. Sarah's voice breaks. Are you serious? I'm serious. But there's a problem. The footage was obtained unofficially. It might not be admissible in court. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. But it's something. It's more than we had. We can show it to the investigators. They can use it to get a warrant, to dig deeper. Even if they can't use the footage itself, it gives them a direction. That's what I'm hoping. Marcus, I don't know how to thank you. I don't know how to. Don't thank me yet. We still have to make sure this works. I'm coming back to DC. Meet me there tomorrow. We're going to the investigators together. Together? Together. You're not facing this alone anymore. The Pentagon is exactly as I imagined and nothing like I imagined. It's huge, obviously, but also strangely bureaucratic. Lots of security checkpoints. Lots of people in uniforms walking purposefully to meetings. Lots of beige walls and fluorescent lights that make everything look washed out and institutional. Sarah meets me outside. She's wearing her dress uniform again. She looks nervous. Ready? I ask. As I'll ever be. We go through security. Sarah vouches for me. We're escorted to an office on the 3rd floor where the investigators are based. A man and a woman, both in military police uniforms, both looking skeptical. Major Holloway, the man says. We weren't expecting you. I have new evidence, Sarah says. Evidence that proves my innocence. The woman, Captain Lee, according to her nameplate, looks at me. And who are you? Marcus Holloway. I'm a private citizen helping with the investigation. We don't typically allow civilians to. I found proof that someone else committed the fraud. I interrupt. I have video footage, financial records, a complete paper trail, and I have testimony from a witness. That gets their attention. We sit. I present everything. The financial records. The timeline showing Sarah was in Germany when contracts were approved. The pattern of Michelle Chen's behavior. The shell companies. The bank in Delaware. And finally, the video footage. They watch in silence. When it's over, Captain Lee rewinds and watches again. Where did you get this? She asks. I can't say. You can't say? The male investigator, Major Harris, leans forward. You bring us evidence in a federal investigation and you can't say where it came from. I can tell you it was obtained legally. I can tell you it's authentic. I can tell you the subject in the video is Sergeant Michelle Chen. Beyond that, I can't reveal my sources. That's not how this works. Then make it work, I say. Because that video shows someone other than Sarah Holloway committing fraud. It shows the real criminal. What you do with that information is up to you. They exchange glances. We'll need to verify this, Captain Lee says. Independently. We'll need to interview Sergeant Chen. We'll need to pull records, examine the timeline, trace the financial trail ourselves. This is going to take time. But you'll investigate? Sarah asks. We'll investigate, Captain Lee confirms. But Major Holloway, you need to understand, even if everything Mr. Holloway claims is true, you're not cleared yet. The evidence against you is still significant. The contracts were approved using your credentials. Until we can definitively prove someone else was responsible, you're still facing potential charges. I understand, Sarah says quietly. However, Major Harris adds, this is the first credible alternative theory we've heard. We'll pursue it. Give us 2 weeks. We'll schedule another meeting after we've had time to verify everything. It's not exoneration, but it's hope. 2 weeks later, we're back in the same office. This time, there are more people. A JAG officer, military lawyer. A representative from the Pentagon's Inspector General's office. And, sitting in the corner looking small and defeated, Michelle Chen. We conducted a thorough investigation based on Mr. Holloway's evidence. Captain Lee begins. We traced the shell companies back to accounts opened by Sergeant Chen. We obtained bank records showing transfers matching Mr. Holloway's timeline. We interviewed Sergeant Chen's father, who confirmed his daughter had knowledge of financial systems and had been living beyond her means. And we conducted a forensic analysis of the computer systems used to approve the fraudulent contracts. What did you find? Sarah asks. We found that Sergeant Chen had access to your office, your computer, and your credentials, Major Harris says. We found keystroke logs showing someone accessed your computer after hours on multiple occasions. We found digital fingerprints linking those access events to Sergeant Chen's personal devices. And we found approximately $1.8 million in offshore accounts controlled by Sergeant Chen. Sarah closes her eyes, relief washing over her. So I'm cleared. All charges against you are being dropped, the JAG officer says. The evidence clearly shows you were not involved in the fraud. We apologize for the distress this investigation has caused. What about her? I ask, nodding toward Michelle Chen. Sergeant Chen has been placed under arrest, Captain Lee says. She'll be facing a court-martial on charges of fraud, theft of government property, and obstruction of justice. Given the amount of money involved, she's looking at a minimum of 15 years in Leavenworth if convicted. Michelle Chen doesn't look at anyone. She stares at the floor, her hands cuffed in front of her, her face blank. Do you have anything to say, Sergeant? Major Harris asks. She looks up then, looks at Sarah, and smiles that same cold smile from her condo. I'd do it again, she says. You never deserved any of it. 2 military police officers escort her out. Sarah breaks down. Years of stress, fear, uncertainty, all of it comes out in heaving sobs. The JAG officer offers tissues. The investigators quietly excuse themselves, giving us privacy. It's over, I say softly. It's really over. Thank you. Sarah manages between tears. Thank you. I don't know how to. I can never repay. You don't have to repay anything. I didn't do this for payment. She looks at me, really looks at me, seeing me clearly maybe for the first time in 10 years. Why did you do it, she asks. I told you. I needed to prove something to myself. Did you? Prove it. I think about that. About the man I was when I left that apartment in the rain. About the man I became in Millbrook. About the man I am now. Yeah, I say. I think I did. We leave the Pentagon together. Outside, the sun is setting over D.C., painting the sky in shades of orange and pink that seem almost too beautiful for the day we've had. Sarah stands on the steps, breathing in the air like she's tasting freedom for the first time. What happens now? She asks. For you? You go back to work. You rebuild your career. You move forward. And for you? I go back to Millbrook. Back to my life. Is there room in that life for us? For friendship, at least? I consider the question. I don't know, Sarah. Maybe someday. But right now, I need to go back to my peace. To the life I built without you. And you need to figure out who you are without crisis driving you. She nods. That's fair. More than fair. She's quiet for a moment. Can I ask you something? That night I left. The divorce. Did you ever think about fighting for us? Every day for the first year, I admit. And then one day I didn't. And that's when I knew I'd be okay. I never stopped thinking about it. About you. About how I threw away the only real thing in my life. I know. How do you know? Because if you'd actually moved on, you wouldn't have called me when you needed help. You would have called someone from your new life. Someone from the world you chose instead of me. But you didn't. You called me because part of you still remembers what we had. What we could have been. Tears slide down her face. I'm so sorry. For all of it. I know you are. And maybe that's enough. Maybe knowing you're sorry. Knowing you realized what you lost. Maybe that's all the closure either of us needs. We stand in silence. Two people who used to know everything about each other and now know nothing except shared history. Will you be okay? I ask. Eventually. Will you? I already am. She smiles through tears. Look at you. All grown up and healthy and stable. I'm proud of you, Marcus. For surviving me. I'm proud of me too. We hug. It's brief and awkward and sad and necessary. And then I walk away. I don't look back. I drive back to Millbrook the next day. The drive is long, 10 hours of highway and rest stops and bad coffee, but I don't mind. I need the time to process, to think about everything that happened. About Sarah, about Michelle Chen, about the man I was and the man I've become. I think about forgiveness. Not the kind of forgiveness people talk about in movies, where everything is resolved and everyone hugs and the credits roll on a happy ending. Real forgiveness. The messy kind. The kind that doesn't mean forgetting or excusing or even fully letting go. The kind that just means accepting that something happened, that you can't change it, that you survived it, and that you're still here, still breathing, still capable of living a good life despite the hurt. I think I've forgiven Sarah. Not because she deserves it, not because she apologized enough times or suffered enough consequences, but because holding on to anger was making me smaller. Because defining myself by what she did to me was giving her power she doesn't deserve anymore. I'm free now. Really free. I reach Millbrook at sunset. The main street looks exactly the same. The hardware store, the diner, the rusty nail, the post office. Frank is closing up shop when I pull into the parking lot. You're back, he says, grinning. Thought maybe you'd run off on me. Never. This is home now. Everything work out? With that woman? Yeah. It worked out. Good. I've got a lumber delivery coming tomorrow. Could use an extra hand. I'll be there. That night, I sit in my small apartment overlooking Main Street. I make tea. I open my book on woodworking. I exist in this quiet, simple moment. My phone buzzes. A text from Sarah. Thank you for everything. I hope you find the happiness you deserve. I type a response. I already have. And it's true. I have a job I'm good at. A town that accepts me. Friends who don't know my history and don't need to. I have peace. That's more than most people get. I delete Sarah's number from my phone. Not out of anger. Not out of pain. Just because I don't need it anymore. The rain starts again. Gentle this time. Not the violent downpour from that night 10 years ago. It taps against my window like a lullaby. Like the world is telling me it's okay to rest now. It's okay to stop running. It's okay to just be. I close my book and turn off the light and lie in bed listening to the rain. Tomorrow, I'll wake up early. I'll have breakfast at the diner. Eggs over easy, wheat toast, coffee black. I'll help Frank with the lumber delivery. I'll joke with the customers. I'll build furniture in the evening. I'll live my small, quiet, beautiful life. And I'll be happy. Because here's what I learned. You can't make someone love you. You can't make someone see your worth. You can't make someone choose you when they've decided they want something else. All you can do is love yourself. See your own worth. Choose yourself. Every day, even when it's hard. Even when you're lonely. Even when the person you loved most in the world laughs as you drive away. You choose yourself. And eventually, you realize that was the right choice all along.